I could imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
We're not the biggest fans of the Mets back then, in the '80s especially. Oh my God,
oh yeah, I could
the
imagine.
'80s. Oh
Oh
man,
yeah, we stole Keith Hernandez from you too. So
yep. Strawberry though, Strawberry man, I
yeah,
love Darryl Strawberry. That guy, he had. I know he had problems, but because I was a left-handed hitter in high
they
school.
all did at some point. Yeah,
Yeah, but I
that
mean,
Mets
he
crew.
had the sweetest swing. His swing was just, and I saw him hit a home run at Busch Stadium. I was there one day, hit the scoreboard. I mean, that thing, when he hit it, I thought it was going to hit the arch. Like, that's how hard he hit the. I mean, nobody ever hit the scoreboard at Busch Stadium. That thing was like way over the bleachers. And I mean,
Yeah.
people didn't hit the back of the bleachers. And I mean, that thing, bonk, like halfway up on the scoreboard. People were like, we have never seen that.
They had an incredible team. I just missed it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Dykstra and I'm trying to think of Mookie Wilson.
Yeah, Dwight Gooden.
Oh my God, yeah. Gary Carter.
Ron Darling. Yeah. They had a lot of people.
What a team. Ray Knight. I'm trying to think who else was on there. Who is that? Rusty Schaub or whatever, the old guy.
Oh yeah.
God, all those guys.
There's they had some good teams over the years.
Yeah, we had
some. And like I said, if we ever get started, this could be a good year for them.
You guys, that your division's tough. Our division is tough. I mean, we're down right now, so we have a fight.
Yeah, take advantage of it.
Exactly. All right, let's get this thing going. Hey, James, what's going on? James probably making shot boards for homecoming. He's a woodworker, and his boards are featured at homecoming. So if you ever go to homecoming, get a flight.
Probably, I just got one on this last trip, actually.
Oh yeah, he makes the little boards that your drinks come on, little shot glasses.
Very cool.
That's pretty awesome. Hey, Margie. All righty. Oh, let's see. All right, 2049. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2049 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend and got to spend some time with friends and family and doing what you love, whether it was riding a bike, taking a run, or just sitting on the couch and hoping baseball starts here soon, like me. But I was up in Chicago with about a bajillion cheerleaders. Again, that's what we do during this time of the year when you're a cheer dad. And of course, we're recording this one a little bit before we got out of town so that we could have this here on your feed in time. So hoping it was a successful cheer weekend up in Schaumburg, Illinois. But I'm sure a good time was had by all, and just glad to be back and talking Disney here with you on a Monday. So today we're heading out to New Jersey with listener Chris. Chris in the studio with some Mets gear on. He's got his cap on, waiting for baseball, but until then, we're talking Disney. What's up, Chris?
Mike, how's it going? Long time no talk. Counting down the days. Hopefully, we get baseball back soon.
I know we could go all night talking baseball here, but we'll talk Disney. The thing is, and I mean, we won't talk baseball the whole time, but there is a nice parallel this time of year with baseball and Disney, right? I mean, a lot of folks know that, the Braves used to have spring training at ESPN Wide World of Sports. I never got to see a game down there, but I always admired their facilities at all the race weekends and so forth. Yeah. But, my Cardinals and your Mets both have spring training in Florida. Have you ever gone down for spring training down in Florida? And
I actually did it at ESPN Wide World of Sports the one year. It matched up with the Disney trip. The Mets happened to be traveling there, and it just, stars aligned. We went and saw it. It was great. I hated the fact that they got rid of that. That's one of the things I miss from Disney.
It's one of those things too. It's like the facilities look amazing to me at ESPN, but it's just, I guess that's just kind of the current state of sports. And I promise we're not gonna talk sports all night, but they kind of outgrew it, and the next facility was 10 times better for the player amenities, for the revenue generation and all that stuff.
But it was cool for us though. As a fan, you were right there. Yes. So you're seeing all these big names, in a small setting. So, but like you said, it's all about money. They went on the greener pastures.
It's all about money. Come on, baseball. Why can't it just be? We need James Earl Jones just to walk into that room and give his Field of Dreams speech. They will come. Maybe people are going to get ticked. Anyway, we're talking baseball. We're back. Okay, so we're talking Disney. We're not talking baseball. Okay, I can talk baseball forever. I've been doing that all day.
Either or.
Let's talk about your background with Disney. We're going to talk about 2 trips today, kind of mix them together here. But why do you find yourself listened to a Disney podcast, being such a Disney fan? How did it all get started?
My grandfather really introduced us. He was super into technology. So I've mentioned this before, but he was, into Epcot, loved it, took us down there for a trip. And then my parents really fell in love with it and they brought us back, every year. So that was big. It was just drilled into my childhood. I took a break, like everybody else, around the high school years. And then when my niece was growing up, we took her down and, you see it through their eyes and your interest is renewed and that's kind of happened. And now, we have my wife's nieces that we took down, a few years back. So it's just great. And now, we're hook, line, and sinker. We're back into it. So, can't get enough at this point.
So let me ask you about kind of some of those very early trips for you. What is some of the fond memories you have of those of like attractions that are no longer around or shows or just some of the unique experiences that we don't have anymore just because like it just wouldn't work anymore in today's day and age, like stuff like that.
Well, that the backlot tour was one of my favorites, and just because honestly, it's just nostalgia. But my grandfather had one of the big camcorders, and he lugged that
Nice.
thing around on his shoulder. So we had those videos to look back on, and he literally documented that whole trip. So us walking through Port Orleans, us going through the whole backlot tour was like amazing. You could just relive it. I don't know where that VHS tape is now, but I would love to take a look back at it because I just love that ride. So that's definitely something I miss. The other thing, I mean, it's just temporary, hopefully, but Hoopty to Review.
Right.
That was my grandfather and my mother's favorite. So we typically went there, once every couple of years. So definitely miss that. Hopefully it'll be back. We're going down in September with my whole family. So fingers crossed it'll be back by then.
Right. You bring up a great memory for me. My dad also had one of those. I mean, he looked like, the action news crew, like just because, I'm in my upper 40s. So we went to spring training in 85 to the Phillies because my dad caught one of the pitchers in the offseason. He flew us down to take his dogs to drive his van and his two poodles when they broke camp from Clearwater up to Philly, up to New Jersey, actually is where he lived, I think. And so we did that and he flew our family down. Ozark Airlines got down there, stayed for a week in St. Pete. That's where their spring training was at the time. And we got to go we went to Disney World, but really all we did went to the Magic Kingdom for a half a day and it rained. That was my only time as a kid I got to go to Disney World.
Yeah.
But my dad, speaking of that camera, he had the thing that was like the big camera that even like it sat on your shoulder and it had like a stick.
Got a little arm.
Yeah, a little arm thing. And, like you had to carry the VCR. Like you had like, the VCR like a purse, like you had the tape under. I mean, he was like the action news crew, but we did take video of that trip. And I got to go over to my dad's house to see if he might still
take it up.
That would be awesome because he did take that to Florida.
It's fun to look back on. And you know what? My grandfather was great too. He had the label maker. He had everything labeled. He would just record stuff just to record it, So, but yeah.
This tape, as I remember, because I do have a photographic memory. This tape all it said was Florida 85. I remember like it handwritten in a Sharpie. So I am going to look for that thing. He just brought up a great memory. So hope maybe some other people have kind of the same story. But anyway, let's get into your trip. So let's talk about the first trip that we're going to talk about. Now, this one took place back in October, and we'll get to your more recent trip here from this year. But back in October, you did kind of a split stay. You bought into DVC. You stayed at the Riviera. You also spent some time over at Universal. So it's been quite a while. But give us some highlights of that. What was it like staying at the Riv for the first time?
Well, the Riv is the reason we got DVC.
I can see.
It puts out quite an impression. And the reason we kind of splurged, we got married in North Carolina. That was actually our mini moon, if you will. So. We splurged on a 1-bedroom suite. I'll tell you, it wasn't a preferred view. It was the parking lot view, but that turned out to be the greatest thing ever because you walk out on the balcony at night, you had the Epcot fireworks right there. So I would argue that was the better view to be had. And it was also cheaper, but I mean, the room is beautiful. You can't top that quick service. Primo Piatto is just amazing. The pool's great. The Skyliner being right there is it was just amazing all around. So we were sold right there. And I kind of, I can't sit still. So we had a pool day, and they obviously had the DVC people there to give you a tour. So while my wife was laying by the pool, I decided I wanted to go take a tour, and long story short, we ended up coming out of there with a DVC contract.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I've been on the tour myself. I didn't buy
Yeah.
in, and it was hard
Mhm.
because it's a harder sell. They always say it's not a hard sell, and it's not really a hard sell, but they were kind of telling me, because
Oh yeah.
I'm a travel agent. I was with friends, and I was just going with them because back in the day they offered you ice cream, they offered you free
Oh
fast
yeah.
passes
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff because they take you over to the hut with the ice cream. Over,
Yeah.
did you go over to Saratoga? Is that where you ended up? Did they take?
No, no, we did it right
Oh,
within the
okay.
Riviera. We were like, we're actually staying here, but why not? So they took you to the Grand Villa and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was very cool to see. But we were like, oh yeah, this is our room right here. It's just, but
yeah.
it was so cool.
I forget. We were the old Key. I don't know where we were, but they took us over to Saratoga because they had the mock-ups. This was before Riviera was done, but they had the
Uh,
mock-up rooms for the Riviera over there, so you could see them and walk through them.
yeah,
And they gave you ice cream. They gave you fast passes, but they're like,
yeah,
okay, where he's. I'm like, I'm not. I mean, I got a kid, ready to go to college, and so
yeah,
we didn't buy it. But it was, I saw the value. I could see, that kind of thing. But it was just one of those. It wasn't the right time for me. But yeah, the Riviera is amazing, and you're right, because I stayed with Scott one time, and he had the
yeah.
same kind of view. But yeah, you can see the fireworks, and I mean that
It was
hotel.
great.
It's fancy, but it's comfortable at the same time. Like at first, when I
Yeah,
thought it, I'm like, I'm never gonna like this because like it just seems too. I used to think about this like the same way the Grand Floridian, and it's comfortable too. I guess
yeah.
maybe I'm getting fancier. I'm not, but
No, I hear you on that. You're right on that though. It was very comfortable. Like you could walk around and come directly from the pool in your board shorts and tank top, and you were fine.
right,
It's
right.
not like it was a snobby environment. It's very very great.
Let me
So yeah, that was it. Yeah.
let me ask you this too. So because you've had a ton of time in the parks and lots of experience, this was obviously your first time using Genie Plus.
Yeah.
Kind of going over to that system in October. What was the learning curve, and what were your initial thoughts with it down
Yeah.
there on that trip? And then we can talk about January as maybe things changed as you've gotten more familiar with it.
So it was beneficial. I would say, I really prefer, the fast pass, because it's just so stressful to do it that morning of, and try and grab things and try and plan your day out then. Yes, it was stressful doing it, historically too, but at least you had it done and you knew what was going on, in advance. That was a little stressful waking up and trying to set everything. And there was, one of the mornings I, told myself I was going to get up and do it, and I snoozed my alarm, and then I woke up at like 7:04 in a panic trying to get
Oh
something.
yeah.
And I forget what it was at that point too. Maybe it was, I don't know. It was one of the bigger rides, and of course, we struck out on that. We did get Rise, so that was good. We did bite the bullet there and just pay for it. Um, Typically, we kind of take the trip, and we'll rope drop certain days, and then other days we'll kind of take it easy. Um, this trip, we really didn't rope drop anything, so we relied on the lightning lanes and paying for a few things, out of pocket. So um, it was a learning experience. But again, I prefer the legacy system. That being said, you got to kind of roll with it. The second trip was better, but the second trip, because we got DVC, we're a little more relaxed. We're not like running around
Right.
with our heads cut off trying to get on all these rides because we know we're going to be back. So we kind of took it a little bit slower, and we didn't have to do it so much. And I think for certain parks, it's not necessary, right? I mean, Animal Kingdom, you can probably get away with it if you are a rope drop person. And just go, straight to Flight of Passage if that's your thing. We went in and we could get right on the safari. I think posted time was like a half hour. That was the big thing with the October trip. A lot of the posted times really weren't as bad as they seemed. So it would say a half hour. It'd really be like 10 minutes. Haunted Mansion, I know, was really inflated, several times, and you would just it was a walk on essentially. So I, it's up to the individual, really. I mean, we made the most of it. There was one day I was kind of kicking myself for buying it because we got on like 2 rides with it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
everything kind of sold out by the end of the day. So, um, you know, I I wouldn't buy it for every day, but if you're going with a group, like when I go down with my family in September, I'll probably buy it most of the days just because I want to make sure they get on stuff. But if it's just me and Michelle going, a lot of the time, like I said, we focused kind of on experiences in the park, just walking around and taking it in, and enjoying new food and that kind of thing.
That's my issue, because when people ask me about it, the way I go through the theme parks is so much differently than a lot of my guests over at the Magic for Less, or just friends that are going down, because I'm very blessed and I get to go down more frequently than a lot of people. I'm going down. I just signed up for the spring surprise weekend, so I'll be down at the beginning of April. We go down again because Mallory cheerleads at the end of April. Now we won't be in the theme parks a lot, but because I've been there so much in January and so forth, that I was there for 5 days in January for the races, and I went on 4 rides in 5 days. I was there for races, but the thing is, I loved it. Like, it was a great trip, because I'm fine with going in a theme park and getting, an ice cream, and getting, like a chicken waffle at Sleepy Hollow, and going on Carousel of Progress, take a spin on the People Mover, and watch the fireworks at the end of the night. Like, that is a successful day for me. Now, that is not how 99% of the people going to Magic Kingdom are going to see a successful day, right? They want to do Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Space Mountain and Big Thunder and Splash, and that's a successful day to them. So I think, again, you make a great point. Now that you're DVC, okay, we're going to be back. We're going to have a lot of frequency, but another great point is, if you're taking people, it is almost like an insurance policy. And what I tell other people too is that you also have to kind of consider that you want to give yourself every advantage you can in the theme parks if you are trying to get on a lot of attractions. And at this point, and I'm seeing this from my guests, is that at least 50% of my guests are buying Genie Plus for every day of their trip. That's what Chapek said. I don't know, how reliable his numbers are. But I'm seeing it from my guests, but my guests tend to be super Disney fans for the most part, so it's kind of skewed. But I just want, if you're gonna, it is extra money, but the thing too is, it's one
they're already spending a lot. So
right, you've gone 98% of the way. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want you to not spend that extra just a little bit to kind of not have a great experience. I want to give you every advantage you can in the theme parks to see as much as you can. So good point for your audience if you're going with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we, like I said, the first time around, we did buy it. I think every day we were there for every park. And it was funny. You saw all these blue umbrellas and all the cast, members waiting to kind of help people because they knew there was going to be issues. The second time around, we were more liberal with where we purchased it and if we were going to do it at all for that day.
So let me ask you this, because I don't know that this is going to come back this year in this form. You guys did Boo Bash. I don't know. Did you done in the past? I bet you did. You done like Mickey's Not So Scary? Like
no. So I heard about the differences, and it was essentially an after hours event. So I liked it just because it was such a small crowd. They cleared the park out. You're running around and getting all the free candy, the ice cream bars, the free drinks, all that stuff, and you were able to hit all these rides. So I definitely think it was worth it. I don't know that we would do it, that often, maybe once every other year or something like that. But it piqued my interest in the regular Halloween party, just to see how that goes and see a parade and that kind of thing. I think that element was missing, the entertainment piece of it. They obviously had the cavalcade, but not as powerful as a parade kind of coming around and that kind of thing. So definitely think we'll kind of wait and try and do that next time it's around and offered.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I would not be surprised if Disney announces, these tickets to this party here relatively soon, here in the early spring. And last year this party was pretty popular. It sold well, even though it was an after hours event. It was truncated. There weren't as many experiences. And I'll tell you what, if they do bring back Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party in full form, because they can now, because they have parades, they have fireworks. There's nothing that's really going to be missing. I don't see why they wouldn't. It's going to be, it's going to be crazy.
I can imagine.
It's going to be hotter than hot.
Even with those events, like you said, they sold out pretty much immediately, and then they added additional days kind of as it went on. So you're right. If they bring that back full swing, that'll be interesting. So
it's gonna be like, how could we sell 7 nights a week of Mickey's Not So Scary, but also have the Magic Kingdom open in regular? Like a Magic Kingdom. It's crazy. So anyway, it's kind of a nut house. But okay, so I want to get into because you did a combo trip and you went over to Universal too.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about where you stayed because you stayed at my favorite place over there. But while we're talking about Mickey's Not So Scary, you did kind of the opposite of this that Universal offers in Halloween Horror Nights, which I've never
Yes.
done. Ricky's a fan, which cracks me up because Ricky's a scaredy cat of everything. Like she's scared to death. I worked in a haunted house in college and I thought it was the greatest job ever. I got paid to
Yeah.
just go out and scare people. And it was
Oh
like
yeah.
it was a for real, like anything goes haunted house, like crazy people worked in that thing. It was
Yeah.
nuts. So what did you, I know it's not for everybody. And I think you said in your notes, like it really wasn't your jam, but I mean, what did you think of that experience? I mean, total different.
Well, I would say that the Halloween Horror Nights actually was super fun. I get why it's a big following. I will say I bought the wrong tickets up front, so I bought the express tickets thinking like, oh, this is the express, but it was just the express pass for that Halloween party, right? We had to add on the additional ticket, and I was like, oh my god, I got tricked into spending quite a bit of money there, but it was my own mistake, and it definitely helped out because you bypassed all these lines for these haunted houses. So it was definitely fun. I'll tell you, we hated the food. They had food, pop-ups there. I think we got a grilled cheese, and we both love grilled cheese. Took a bite of it and we're just like, that's not happening.
I don't even
And
know how
threw
you
it
can
out.
sell grilled cheese. I mean, grilled
Yeah.
cheese is the jam. I mean, come on.
We waited until we got back to Cabana Bay, and then we got, they had pizza, like late night pizza that they were handing out. So we had that. But yeah, I'll tell you, we realized real quick we were missing Disney. Thankfully, we purchased annual passes, so we ended up back at Disney for our last full day there. We were going to hang out at the pool at Cabana Bay, and we were like, you know what, we got season passes. Let's go back. We'll go to Magic Kingdom, hang out for the day. We ended up at the Poly. We went to Trader Sam's. Got a couple of drinks. It was just it. I don't know. We just missed it immediately. We kind of regretted it right away. When we discussed actually getting a room at Port Orleans and just driving over to Universal for Halloween Horror Nights, and I don't know. I made a mistake on that one.
Oh wait, so you weren't a fan though of Cabana Bay, the hotel?
Yeah, it wasn't.
I love that hotel because I love Pop Century, and to me, Cabana Bay is like the 2.0 of Pop Century, and it is. I mean, it leans hard into the retro, and I like the stuff.
On its own, it's good, but when you come from the Riviera to that,
I
think that's what it was.
Come from like the regular value. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean,
I felt like I had flown home and it was back in New Jersey already. Like I had that trip regret, like that I was missing out on it. We both kind of were just down in the dumps after that. But that being said, we had a better night and went to Halloween Horror Nights, and then we went to, like I said, we went back to Magic Kingdom. We got some food at the Poly and got some drinks, and that was great. I mean, Trader Sam's, that was our first time. That was amazing. Very cool. Cast members are amazing there and just put on a show. So that was a lot of fun. The last thing on this trip, I just have to tell you, our pool day, I went into Primo Piatto. I got that croque madame that I could eat one of those a day.
I could too, but I'd be dead in a week. I mean,
yeah. It's a heavy one, but it is delicious. It's definitely great food there.
It's so good. Yeah, I mean, I stay at Caribbean Beach, and I go all the way over there every morning to get one. Like, almost like, where are you going? I'm like, you going to the food court? Yes, I am. I'm going to Primo Piatto.
Yeah.
Over the Riviera sandwich.
When we have that September trip booked, I want to get my parents as close to the Riviera as possible. A, for the Skyliner, but B, so they can just come over and go to Primo Piatto and join us. So
that's a huge advantage.
We'll see what happens.
Stay at Caribbean Beach. I mean, you got a deluxe resort with awesome amenities and great dining you can take advantage of. Okay, one other thing you mentioned too, that on that trip that you had first time at Cetuli Canteen. That's my favorite, probably. Yeah. That and Polite Pig, I would say, are my two favorite counter service. Did that live up to the hype that we've talked about, or did you?
Yeah, I'm kicking myself. It took us that long to get there. We got one of the chicken bowls, like their rice and bean base, and we devoured it pretty quick. It was amazing. So very good food there. We also had a first at Olivia's. Completely forgot about that. Got the fried chicken, got a Caesar salad, just hung out there, and that's so. Obviously, we signed up for DVC. We're walking around, Key West. This is great. That ended up being the first place we used our points. Was Old Key West. So the January trip, that's where we ended up.
Yeah, dude,
So
OKC West is amazing. I mean, it
yeah,
just I love the vibe of OKC West. It's like its own community. It's not even like a
right,
hotel to me. It's just I love everything. Olivia's is a big reason, but I mean, I like the
yeah,
golf course. It's just got a communal vibe. It's gorgeous. I love it there. Yeah, but I'll be back at Olivia's during cheerleading because we have to stay. I don't get to pick the cheer mom.
off
Some cheer
site.
moms in charge of the hotels, Disney Springs. We're at a Holiday Inn Express, I think, this time.
Oof.
So I'll be smarter. I'll be able to say I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But yeah, so we'll be just shooting down in an Uber down to Olivia's to get some dinner. So that's what I'm
Yeah,
excited about. So yeah, can't wait for my buttermilk chicken. All right, so let's talk about the January trip. So talk to us
yeah.
about that. What was the purpose of that trip, and where did you? So you were there, OKC West. Like, give us some background on that one. How to come together?
Yeah, so we had blocked that time off for a wedding actually, and then it ended up getting canceled, with COVID and everything. So we both had that plan to be off already. So with new DVC members, we had these points to burn. So why not give it a shot? So we actually, when I booked it, I couldn't get the 31st, but I could get the first through the 5th, I believe, was the trip. So we ended up going down. We flew down the 31st. It was actually cheaper to fly down the 31st, which I was kind of shocked about. But anyway, we ended up just booking a hotel, offsite that was close, within range to Disney Springs. We didn't have park reservations for that day. So we just figured we'd kind of hang out and pop around Disney Springs. We went to Disney Springs. It was, packed. A lot of stuff going on. It was cool to see. We had a homecoming reservation, so that was good, and that's where I had the moonshine flight. We had the thigh high chicken biscuit, so those were two first. We've been there before, but those were two first. For that restaurant, so we did that, and we actually, I think this was the night. Yes, we went to Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar too for the first time. That was before we were just waiting out our homecoming reservation, so that was cool. Just got a couple of drinks and hung out. But after that, we left probably, I don't know, 9:30, 10. We were wiped from being on the plane.
Yep.
Went back. I actually set an alarm for 12 a.m. So we just wake up and say Happy New Year and go back to bed, right?
In there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that. The hotel we stayed at was great, though. I mean, it was fairly close. It was a 5-minute Uber ride to Disney Springs. They did have shuttles to the parks and everything, but we didn't take advantage of that. But I'd definitely stay there if I had to stay off site again. It was nice enough. But after that, we did transition, over to Old Key West that morning. So took an Uber over there, checked in, and then we headed over to Animal Kingdom, and we dropped all of our bags, and then we were just waiting for the text to say our room was ready. Like I said, we didn't rush around and try and get on everything in Animal Kingdom. We just kind of walked around. I think we jumped on one ride, and then we went to Nomad Lounge, and we just
Nice.
hung out outside.
Happy New Year, baby. That's a good way to
Yeah,
start the year.
yeah. And like they literally they were just opening, and there was maybe 3 groups in front of us waiting for it to open. So they opened, they sat us outside. We got to see the boats go by, with the cavalcade, their form of cavalcades. Had some drinks, had some food, and that was really it. And then we moseyed our way out there, said let's go to the pool, and we stopped by Bell Services, got our suits changed real quick, went to the pool. And then, we lost track of time, and then our room was ready by the time we were done with that. So it was definitely good. I'll tell you, it was a love-hate relationship with Old Key West at first. Not really for me, but for my wife. We ended up getting, a room that it was probably about like 10 to 12 minutes away from the main lobby.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause that place is huge. Yeah, and if you got
Yeah.
a car, it can be a challenge.
Well, and at night, first night, we go out to dinner. We come back. It's dark.
You don't
I
know
think this is our loop. I'm not sure.
No, I know what
Well,
you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
We all went
Then
to the bus stops.
and I'm following on the map on my Disney
Am I
experience,
a
and I'm
turtle
like,
cove or am I?
this looks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I know we have that view out of our balcony. Like, is that us? And then we ended up staying on to the lobby. I got off at the lobby. I went in. We talked to the receptionist. Look, we don't know where we are, and they gave us the map and drew us back. So yeah, it was an interesting first night, but once we got the hang of it, it's such a beautiful resort. I will definitely consider going back. And the rooms are just so big and spacious. I know that's the first DVC resort, so it's just it's different. But yeah, it was interesting right off the bat, but it got better as it went along.
No, you did one better than me though, because I have a similar story where this was one night. It was my wife and I think it was all four of us, both girls, but Mallory was little, and we were staying at Riverside, and it was one of those things where it was the exact same thing. I think we stayed for like extra magic hours at night. It was a long time ago. And it was like midnight, 12:30, something like that. I mean, it was way late. We were wiped. It's one of those like where you ride the bus and the lights are out on the bus the whole time. Yeah. And then they flip the lights on. Everybody's blinded. You're half asleep. So we get off at the wrong bus stop at Riverside. And so I'm like, no big deal. I know a shortcut. Man, I got us so turned around in that resort because this is the first time we'd stayed there. And we were like, almost like refugees. Like we could not find our room. Like no matter where I turned, I guarantee you I went the wrong way every time. I probably went around like 5 times around our room by the time my wife still, every time we get off the bus, she's like, we stay anywhere like in Caribbean Beach, anywhere where there's multiple bus stops. She's like, are you positive this is the right stop? I'm like, okay, I screwed up back in like 2009. I'm over it now. I'm a professional.
You passed it. Moved on. No, yeah, it's
the right thing. You went to the front and asked.
It's not fun. Yeah, I went direct to the source. I was like, you know what? It's going to be a 10-minute walk. I'll get it over with. But
at night, we were.
See, that was the one nice thing. I'd never been down in January, so the nights were cooler. The days were, warm enough. You could wear shorts and a t-shirt, unless you're a Floridian, because.
Yeah, you'd be
they had a beanie and gloves on. I was like, what? I'm wearing shorts. What is going on? But it is what it is. But yeah, the other thing that night I forgot to mention, we were at Magic Kingdom. We went to Liberty Tree for the first time. So that was amazing. Loved every second of that. Getting there was a nightmare because we came in as the fireworks were wrapping up. So they shuffled us down, the back way.
Yeah.
But it spit us out by Crystal Palace, and they're directing traffic. But it got to a point where we weren't moving at all. So we're sitting there looking at the clock. We're going to be late. Then we get separated in the group. She actually ended up just going ahead of me and checking in, so we didn't lose the reservation. But
wait a second. You go to New York City though, right? I mean, come on, you're I mean, come on. I think you're made for this. Like, now, somebody like me, I'd be lost forever. Like, I'm from Missouri, dude. You'd be like, nice knowing you. I'm gone. Like, but I mean,
you can be more agile in New York City. This was to the point where they had us squeezed in, and they would not let us go out of like single file each way. We were like, what? Why? What is this benefiting anybody? What's going on? But yeah, we finally got free. We got to enjoy the food. It was delicious, amazing. And then we hit a couple of rides on the way out. Pirates, and I think I said before, Haunted Mansion had no wait whatsoever. So why not? Jumped on real quick and went home and got lost for a little bit.
I mean, it's all about though. So what was the whole vibe of that January trip though? Just kind of chill, or were you because you got a lot done there. I mean, you went to Animal Kingdom, you got some time at Magic Kingdom, had a nice meal there. But I mean, what was what else? Like, what were some of the other highlights from that entire trip? I mean, were you getting up early every morning? Were you sleeping in, being over at OKC West?
I was getting up and going for a coffee every morning, but that was the extent of me running around. I actually worked one morning, and sent Michelle to Disney Springs, go shop for a little bit, so I could just have that free time. I had a meeting that I couldn't miss, so. It was more laid back. Like I said, we weren't panicked to get to the parks, right? I mean, that day that I worked, actually, I had an Epcot reservation. I worked past, the point of the cutover where you can kind of park hop. So in my head, I said, I don't really want to go to Epcot. I think I'm going to go to Magic Kingdom. I went to Magic Kingdom. Come to find out, I can't go there without checking in at Epcot first. And I was like, this is the silliest thing.
I know, that rule drives me nuts.
It's insane. So there I found myself, and I went to, jump on monorail, go over to Epcot, went in there, and then I did have a couple first. I was walking around by myself, so I went over to Living with the Land, rode that, ate at Sunshine Seasons, just really moseyed around. I went around World Showcase. Unfortunately, because they were in between festivals, there was no booths out. So in our heads, we were focused on kind of getting there, and that's what we do all the time. Like we'll just take out one meal, and we'll just get snacks. So that kind of took the air out of us. Good thing was we did have a Space 220 reservation.
Nice.
And we kind of, this whole trip, like I said, was focused on food and just hanging out. We found ourselves, we had way too many lunch reservations to the point where like we couldn't eat anymore, right? So like by the third day, we're like, there's no way. So we were going to cancel the Space 220. We ended up keeping it. And I was just starving by that point. So we went. I'll tell you, it was cool to see it and everything, but I probably wouldn't go back just because of the price and the experience. Like if you're against the window by like where the earth is,
Right.
there's a lot more dimension. Like you can actually see it. Where we were off kind of to the side, and it was more of a black screen. So all we saw were like the lights and the reflection, right?
Mhm.
And the food was okay. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it was definitely cool to experience it for the first time. But like I said, if there's so many options, it's kind of hard to like pick that as one of your favorites to go back to. You know what I mean?
I think I totally agree with you. I think with Space 220, what it's going to run up against is that you don't really need to repeat it at
Mhm.
that price level, right? I mean, because I really do think though that Disney fans should do it once because it
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
going up the space elevator is really sweet and just the atmosphere of the place. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I've said this, and the more I think about it, the more I really do believe this. The coral reef is almost the exact same vibe. It's
Set up, yeah.
underwater instead of space without
Yeah,
the space elevator. And it's not as expensive and it's not as hard to get into. But
yeah.
but I mean, every Disney fan should try it. But I just, I'm the same way. Like I had a great time. I had a meal with Ricky and Pam and Steve and a bunch of the agents of the Magic for Less. We enjoyed it. Now we sat as far back from the windows as you could be. We were back against the opposite wall. And that actually worked out
Okay.
well for us because we could see everything happening. Like we were kind of
Yeah,
in the
that's
top
sharp.
here, kind of back by the
Mhm.
bar and looking over, and that was great. But like, and I'm a huge space fan. I mean, I worked at space camp and everything. Like I follow NASA and everything, but I don't feel a need to get back. I would like if somebody this has never been, I would take them, but
Yeah,
I'm good. There's so many other places to go, but
that's the
I'm not saying
problem.
like you've never
Too many
been. Oh,
choices.
totally go and give it a shot because everybody needs to
Yeah.
see it. It's very, very cool. But that's a great point. And the
Yeah.
thing about lunch is that is another great thing to think about for folks that are planning their trips. I don't know. Some people do plan like 2 sit down meals a day, or more. Sometimes 3. I'm good with 1, but sometimes I'll
Yeah.
alternate it with like a sit down breakfast and then counter service the rest of the day, or I'll do a sit
Yeah.
dinner and then counter service breakfast, or just eat something in the room for breakfast and have a counter service lunch. But I don't know how like you fall as far as meal planning when it comes to
Well,
setting up the days.
I'll tell you, we're not big breakfast people. So we actually ordered Amazon Fresh. This was the first time I did that, which was awesome. I just ordered granola bars, case of water, just snacks to kind of have around and grab as you go. So I had yogurts, that kind of thing. So have that in the morning and then go. Most of the time, lunch would be either counter service or we'd do, snack around the world, do
Right,
that
right.
kind of thing around World Showcase. And then you do a sit down dinner. That's the only thing. But to your point, one sit down per day is how we try and balance it. Like this year or this trip, we actually did be our guest for the first time. So that that was a sit down. That was for lunch because that was the only time we could get. So um, we try and balance it out that way. But I'll just tell you, we were heavy on meals this time. It was just a lot of eating, and we got kind of tired of it at some point. But it was definitely good. And going from Space 220, I'll tell you, we had a good view at California Grill. They actually put us like right in the corner facing the fireworks, and they
Nice.
piped the music in. That dinner was amazing. So we're going back again. The next trip we have on the book. So that'll be exciting for sure.
And that's a great point though about, sometimes when you go to make your ADRs, you're not going to get, 6:30 for dinner, and you're not going to get, 12:30 for lunch, you may only get your restaurant you want for 2:30 in the afternoon. You know what? And if you want that experience, take it. And then, like you said, I mean, you just work you have a later breakfast that day. You eat you have like a granola bar, then you maybe have a light breakfast at 10, and then you have your big meal at 2:30, wherever you're having your table service. And then instead of having a big dinner, you're going to be full till like 6 or 7. Go have an ice cream at 7:30 and a Mickey bar at 10, and like see it as an opportunity to snack later. And, it's one of those things that I think a lot of times, and I'm very guilty of this, because when I'm at home, I'm very regimented. Like I have my breakfast at this time and I have my lunch at this time, my dinner at this time. And it's almost like 3 squares.
Yeah.
At Disney, if you do that, you give up the opportunity to have all these fun snacks, like you get yourself full. And, you're not going to want, to snack on a box of popcorn or, that ice cream sandwich or what have you.
That's what I found myself coming to snack carts and being like, I really want that, but I just, you can't. But anyway, the Amazon Fresh, I'll definitely do that again. Now that we're a little more experienced, the fact that, Bell Service just holds on to everything for you, that was huge. So convenient. So definitely looking forward to that again.
Yeah, definitely use them for like Coke Zeros and waters and Pop Tarts. And all, like just
save so much
in the room. Just like you get back from the parks at like 11 o'clock at night. Just have a box of Cheez-Its in the room. Just grab a few, and
that was one of my
TVs.
One of my go-tos there. But so the rest of it, like I said, a lot of just popping around, getting food at the parks. I mean, Hollywood Studios. Breakfast Ronto wrap I tried for the first time. Wish they put more sauce on it, but other than that, amazing. Right. OKC Cantina, we always do that one every time we're in Hollywood Studios. Just love that. We did do Smuggler's Run for the first time. Rise of the Resistance is the best one there, but it was fun to do it. I'll say we got stuck with 2 kids driving it, and it was not the most smooth ride. I mean, my wife looked at me and she's like, "What do you mean? It's not like that all the time?" I was like, "No, we're not supposed to be crashing the whole time and getting thrown around, So, so it was still fun, but Rise of Resistance is the crown jewel there. So, but anyway, other than that, Epcot, like I said, we were just bummed. There's so much construction going on there, but on top of that, the World Showcase, us just kind of going in that awkward time where there's no festival going on, which it seems like there's always a festival going on. I figured it was something would overlap. Yeah, we found those days, which was unfortunate. So definitely looking forward. We're gonna get to Flower and Garden, so we'll make up for it. But anyway, what else? I mean, other than that. Dinner at Topolino's Terrace, we did that. So we had 2 great dinners. Actually, we had great dinner the whole trip. But Topolino's Terrace was awesome. And looking at the menu, I wasn't that crazy about it. I'm not that fancy, and there's a veal chop.
I went with Scott in January, and the restaurant was beautiful, and we got to see Harmonious, and it was amazing to see Harmonious from up there. I could not believe it. It's like God watching Harmonious from up there. It's so like I'm not a big fan of Harmonious, but from up there it looked amazing. Like it was so great. I mean, again, I'm not a big fancy food person, but it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting top-notch service there. I mean, they're coming over and they're sampling the wine with you, and and you don't have to do this for me, but okay.
Yeah, I know that. I had a soda, so they didn't sample.
Yeah. They're giving you the chef background, all this stuff that went into planning the menu. Okay, great. But anyway, no, great food, amazing experience. I wish it was like California Grill, that they piped in the music and kind of lowered the lights when the fire. But other than that, I mean, you can't really complain. We got a good view of that too from our table. So, it was very cool to see, and just an amazing experience. I mean, that like I said, love the Riviera. That's where we have our points for DVC, and we'll be back in September. So, can't really top that at all.
Well, sounds like it sounds like great meals, great times in the parks. So let me ask you. So you said you're going back in September. So are you going back to Riv, or are you trying to like broaden the horizons with all the DVC resorts? I'm curious about that. Like, because not DVC, I wonder how people do, and availability also drives that, I think, a lot.
Yes. Yeah, Old Key West was availability because like we booked, we signed up for the end of October. We booked for January, so like
Yeah,
there wasn't much
a lot of
availability to be
options.
had. But for the fall trip, we have my parents going. They're on a moderate budget. My brother and his family's coming along too. So I think I asked you this question, but it seems like an obvious choice. Riviera, right next to Caribbean Beach. They stay at Caribbean Beach. We can jump on the Skyliner. It's just a perfect, fit for us. So we're doing that. In between, then we're actually going back. We have our official honeymoon where we're going to the Bahamas for like an all inclusive, but we're coming back to Disney for 4 nights. Um, very split stay. We have 2 nights at the Poly, one night at Saratoga Springs, one night Savannah View at Kidani Village. So like we were just patching it together. I was patching in what I had available to me at that point. But I wanted to experience every resort. So, why not?
So let me ask you though, out of those 3 resorts, because they all offer something different, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
Polynesian has the nostalgia, the proximity to the Magic Kingdom. Everyone would stay at the Poly. I mean, it's the
Yes.
Poly.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom Lodge, really almost the ultimate in thematic resorts when it comes to Walt Disney World. It's so immersive. And then Saratoga is it's underrated. I mean, you got Disney
Yeah. You got
Springs,
Disney Springs with it.
dining. I mean, you got entertainment at your back door. I mean, it's a lot of shuffling around, but I mean, this sounds like a real opportunity to have a good time. Are you going to even do parks, or are you just going to kind of hang?
We have park reservations. We're gonna play it by ear. Like I said, we're not so crazy about getting in there. I find it hard to believe that I won't get to a park at some point
Yeah,
through that trip, though. So I
right.
did book the reservation, so we have them.
It doesn't hurt. Yeah.
And being on the monorail and being right close to Magic Kingdom, I'm gonna have to. But yeah, we've got a lot of good food planned for that one already, and I'm excited for that one. I'm excited for September as well. But um, and the last thing on this past trip, we did have a flight interruption. So we had to extend it a day, and I wasn't crying about that, but there
Yeah.
was no availability for DVC. So we did have to stay off site, but we stayed at a hotel right across from Disney Springs. So we got to go to Boathouse, which is one of my favorites. Got the filet mignon slider. So
Yeah, that's what I
life
did.
was good, and we got an extra day, to relax at Disney.
There's nothing wrong with that. Especially, so it sounds like do you take like it? Because, I can work from anywhere, so it doesn't really
Yeah,
bother me anymore. Because as long as I have a laptop and an internet connection, I'm good to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
And, like I work from the cheerleading competitions, this weekend. That's what I do, just work
Gotta do what you gotta do.
from the convention center. So are you the same way? Like that's something you can do? Or like my wife, obviously she has to be back
Yeah.
at the beach, but so if I get delayed, who cares? Like I'll just work from different.
We're fully remote right now, working. So it didn't really matter. I mean, I didn't have the day planned to take off, but I had the day available, so I did end up taking off. But I always bring my laptop with me. It's like a safety blanket just in
Right.
case something happens, at the office. But yeah. And
Yeah.
then one last thing, just on it, because this trip was crazy with food. I told you, but the cheeseburger egg roll from Magic Kingdom, it's like one of my favorite things now. I have to get it every time I'm
I
there.
still have not had that thing because there's
You gotta stop. That's
yeah, well,
the
here's the problem. It's always the thing, like you mentioned earlier. Anytime I walk past that cart, I'm never hungry. Like for some
yeah,
reason, I
yeah.
always come
You
from
gotta
like,
time it.
well, and there's always a line too. But okay, so it is worth but the thing's like
100%.
now. Like it's
Well,
worth
you
whatever it
you
costs.
get you get two of them,
You get
and then
two.
it's yeah, and you get a little dipping sauce with it. So I love them. They're incredible. I also did Casey's corn dog nuggets. I feel like you and Ricky talk about them constantly. I had to try them. I'm hooked on Casey's now too. There's just too much food I like now.
Yeah, I know that's a
Um,
problem. I know. I could eat all day down there. Man, that's what people, I come home and I talk to people like, what'd you do at Disney? And then I start talking about all the things I ate. It's like,
yeah.
I thought you ride rides.
Did you go on
Well,
any rides? No.
yeah, I did. What's People Mover? Didn't you ride Space Mountain? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think I did ride Space Mountain, but then I had an ice cream. That's how it is. Everybody relates. They get it. So,
Yeah, of course.
oh, hey, we'll have to talk about that triple stay kind of thing after your honeymoon in
Should
September.
be interesting.
That'll be fun too. But thanks for hopping on with us, and Love talking Disney with you, and let's hope we have some baseball here by the time the show comes out, or at least soon.
Yes, fingers crossed. Hopefully by next week they have something figured out. We can
Right, we'll have some good
get some
baseball.
excitement. Spring
Have
training, please.
right. Have some Mets Cardinals here soon. Let's hope.
Yes.
All right, Chris, thanks again. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, don't forget today's show brought to you by The Magic for Less Travel. Check them out today for all your Disney trip planning needs. They're over at themagicforless.com. We'd love to help you plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. Just drop by themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. It really does help us out. Just click through that one extra link. It takes you right back to the normal Amazon page, but it does help us out. So just bookmark it and use it as often as you can. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much to our patrons who support everything we do once a month. We couldn't do it without you. And our patrons get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest every week. If you'd like to join us, come on over. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Give me a follow on the social media. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at BeOurGuestMike. Would love to talk to you this week. Also, subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube, and you'll find out every time we go live. So you can join us in the chat. That's always a lot of fun. And if you don't mind, give us a rating and a review wherever you download the show. It's very much appreciated. And thank you to everybody who has already left a rating and a review. It is, I thank you so much for that. All right, we're going to be back again on Wednesday. Of course, it'll be your listener questions. We love those. If you have a question, send it to Mike at BeOurGuestPodcast.com and we'll get it on the show. All right, until then, for Chris, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Monday. Time to get back to work, and we'll see you real soon. For a second there, I thought Mike was saying, oh, he's gone. His camera's gone. I thought Mike was saying that there's no park reservations, but he just doesn't want them. All right, everybody, I'm going to edit. I will see you later.